Okay, Hare Krishna. It's so nice to see all of you here. I didn't realize Friday night maybe is a little difficult for everybody to come, but it was the only night I had, and I thought it was better than Saturday night. So here we are, Hare Krishna, better for worse. Before I start, I would like to repeat something that I have said at least 3 or 4 times in the class in the temple room, which, a lot of you don't come to because of different reasons, work and whatever, responsibilities. But I'm really grateful to all of you for being patient with me. I've been here for 6 weeks. Do you realize that? 6 weeks. And time is just, especially the devotees who are organizing programs such as Nityananda Chandra and wanted me to do things like Wednesday night with the guests or a Sunday evening program. And I have been on a marathon, as you know, probably all of you, doing the corrections and re-recording some parts of the audiobook that we're doing for the BBT of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. All 3 volumes, 2,500 pages, with Sanskrit verses and commentaries with the Sanskrit in the commentaries. And in case you didn't understand what that means, it's really a big deal to try to read that much material without mistakes. It's practically impossible, actually. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. And in order to be able to do it, especially in order to be able to do the corrections, which means you have to find out where the mistakes have been made. And in case you didn't notice, when you read that many pages, it is not possible to read it without mistakes, right? And so there were a lot of mistakes to correct, and I had to have a voice that could match any of the voices that I had during the last 2 years since I started this. Some of the recording was done almost 2 years ago. So I had to have a voice that could match all these different voices. And in order to do that, I couldn't strain my voice at all. So I made the decision, conscious decision, not to do anything else to use my voice except for that. So therefore, you really haven't seen much of me in the last 6 weeks. For that, I apologize to all of you. Hare Krishna. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I didn't feel any pressure from anybody, that I should meet more devotees or do more programs or whatever. And that was really a big deal for me, because that meant I wasn't in anxiety and I could do my best to do that audiobook, which when it comes out, those who have heard samples of it, they really like it. And so when you get that audiobook, you can hear the whole Brihad Bhagavatamrita all the way through, and it'll be very, very nice resource, for the devotees and for, future generations of devotees. So for all that, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to do a reading from this Brihad Bhagavatamrita. How many of you have not read this book at all? Wonderful. Wonderful. So I'm going to give you a very nice sample. And I'm going to do reading, but I'm also going to comment. I'm going to read and comment, read and comment, read and comment like that. But I want to do enough of the reading so that you get a real taste, for this book. And also to repay you, payback time, for all that time that I've been away this last 6 weeks from you. I'm already realizing why I had to not do programs, because my voice is changing already. When you get into this situation, it's very intense. So I have a habit, don't mind. My habit is I chant certain prayers before I speak, because it prepares my heart, and it also prepares the atmosphere. So if you just bear with me while I chant these prayers, and then we'll start the reading. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Mukam Karurivachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Namashreshtamanum Apisati Putram Atrasarupam Rupam Tasyagrajim Udupudim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivadamoho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Shigurun Tandatosmi Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Pudijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vijakanvitangscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Vanchakalpadurubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Antai Madalavala Haridasya Yad Rama Krishna Charanas Parasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayo Yat Pani Yasuyavasa Kandana Kandamulai Matsamo Nasti Papatma Napadadi Nakaschana Padi Hare Pilajjame Kim Bruve Purushottama Yubatinam Tatayuni Yunam Cha Yavatau Yata Mano Vidabate Tadvam Mano Me Ramatam Twayi Bhumau Skalita Padanam Bhumyadeva Valambanam Twayi Jata Paradanam Twameva Sharanam Prabho Govinda Balabe Radhe Pratye Tamaham Sada Tudiyam Iti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadishe Kadumam Vitvahini Kripaya Tavapadabja Dasyam Mayam Pradiyatam. Hare Krishna. So, the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is an extremely important transcendental literature in our line. It was compiled by Srila Sanatana Goswami, the senior disciple, direct disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya spent more time instructing Sanatana Goswami than any of his disciples. He spent more than almost 2 months, a night and day, Dashashramadagat, instructing Sanatana Goswami, and he gave Sanatana Goswami complete teachings. You know that Lord Chaitanya selected various devotees to specialize, actually. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, he demonstrated through Raghunath Das Goswami the epitome of renunciation, for instance. Through Ramananda Roy, he showed the top depth of knowledge of rasa, and also Rupa Goswami. Through Rupa Goswami, he gave the deepest spiritual teachings about the relationships of Krishna and his associates in Braj. Sanatana Goswami was extremely special. He was senior. He was the prime minister, practically, in the government of Nawab Shah in Bengal at the time. It was a Muslim government. And because he was coerced, actually, it was a very, very difficult situation then. And Sanatana Goswami and Rupa, who were then Sakara Malik and Dabir Khas, they had changed their names from Saraswat Brahmin names, because that's where they were actually born, to Dabir Khas and Sakara Malik, Muslim names. And for that reason, they were ostracized from the Hindu society. And Lord Chaitanya came particularly to deliver this message that Krishna is not pleased necessarily by the following strictly of rules and regulations without genuine affection. And he showed this genuine affection for Haridas Thakur, for instance, who appeared in a Muslim family but was entitled by Lord Chaitanya, the Namacharya, the teacher by example of the holy name of the Lord. So among them all, Sanatana Goswami was extremely senior and extremely respected, and therefore Lord Chaitanya chose him to describe the full philosophy of Krishna consciousness, Srimad Bhagavatam, and in a very special way, in a very, very special way. Are we still here, all of us, on the same page? It's not too much, not restless? It's okay? Okay. Maharaj Parikshit heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, and at the completion of that event, Maharaj Parikshit was sitting more or less alone, waiting for the curse of the Brahman, Shringi, to come about. And you can imagine how pregnant that atmosphere was with anticipation. And at that time, Maharaj Parikshit's mother, Uttara, approached Maharaj Parikshit. And the mothers in the crowd will be able to relate to this more than probably the rest of us. But, she knew that her son was just about to leave this world. It was clear to everyone. That's why so many great personalities from all over the universe and all over the world had gathered to be present at this very auspicious event of the passing away of Maharaj Parikshit. So, you would expect a very tearful and emotionally surcharged atmosphere between the son and the mother. But Uttara was so exalted, she was such an exalted Vaishnavi, that when she approached him, she asked one question. Well, she asked more questions, but the first question that led to the other questions was, what did Shukadev Goswami say to you? She wanted to hear the Bhagavatam, and it means that there were so many people. They didn't have microphones in those days, 5,000 years ago. So there were so many personalities there, so many auspicious personalities, that not everyone could hear directly. So she was asking, what did he say? So there was Parikshit Maharaj, and he had to reciprocate with his mother, obviously. And he didn't have time. He didn't know how much time he had. One thing for sure, he didn't have enough time to complete the whole Bhagavatam. That took 7 days and 7 nights. So what he did was he essentialized the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, is already the essence of the Vedas. It is Amala Puranam. It is the nectar of the Vedas, or the essence of the Vedas. And what he did was he took that essence and he essentialized it even further. And therefore it is called Bhagavatamrita. It is the Amrita, the nectar of the Bhagavatam. So they have a saying in France, the crème de la crème. That's what this book is. It's the crème de la crème. So in inquiring further, she wanted to know, or Parikshit Maharaj chose to deliver to her the knowledge of the Bhagavatam in a very, very special way, emphasizing the relationships that the devotees have with one another and with Krishna. It takes the form of 2 parts. In the first part, Narada Muni goes on a quest. And the quest is to find out who has received the most mercy from Krishna. Who's the greatest devotee, best devotees. And in doing that, he goes to so many places and he meets so many devotees. I won't go to a summary, because by the time I finish that summary, it'll be time to stop speaking, and I'm going to read from the second part. And anyway, when he got through going to so many places and meeting so many exalted devotees, from the King of Heaven to Brahma to Shiva to Nard to Prahlad and Hanuman and the Pandavas, the Yadavas, Uddhava, and finally he ends up revealing that the Brajvasis have won his heart because of the purity of and completeness of their devotion for him. Because that's Krishna's nature. Yayatam mam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham. He reciprocates according to how we reciprocate with him. How we approach him. He reciprocates naturally. And that's the way we are. You see? That's the way we are by nature. We reciprocate according to the way persons approach us. So after that concluded, and after Krishna, explained to, of all people, his queens in Dwarka, who were the most intimate devotees in Dwarka to him, why he married them. And basically what he said was, I wasn't so much attracted to you, but you reminded me of the gopis. So you try saying that to your wife. I actually married you because you reminded me of another cute girl. I mean, you will be out of the house immediately, on the street. Right? Isn't it? The wives can testify. But this is exactly what happened. And the queens didn't throw him out on the street. As a matter of fact, they reciprocated by glorifying the gopis. Because their love was unconditional. And they had so many domestic duties that they had to perform. And therefore their love was splayed out, or it had to go in so many directions. They had children, they had, household duties, they had social responsibilities, they had so many things that grihasthas naturally have. So anyway, that was the first part, just a really, really nutshell description of the first part. So Uttara was not satisfied completely, because she wanted to know if there was a place that could accommodate such wonderful love of God. So the second part, Maharaj Parikshit tells the story of Gopal Kumar. Gopal Kumar is a cowherd boy from Govardhan, maybe 8 or 10 years old. How old are you? Huh? 12? 12? You? 10. Okay, about his age. Right? And he is blessed by Krishna, who appears as his spiritual master in Govardhan and starts him out on a journey, gives him the Gopal Mantra, and he rides that mantra to many, many places and meets, again, as Narada did, many, many devotees in many places. And in each place, he sees a little more of his Lord, Gopal. His Lord is Madan Gopal. He's a cowherd boy from Govardhan. He naturally, the residents of Govardhan naturally love Krishna in the form of a cowherd boy. That is Braj Bhakti. So, he's going from one place to another, and in each place, he becomes overwhelmed with the devotion of that person, because he's only 10 years old. And although he's pure devotee, he's more exalted than any of the persons that he meets practically. But because he's only 10 years old, he's uneducated. He doesn't know the details about, the higher planets and what goes on there and who's there and what different forms of the Lord are worshipped in different places, what the different moods are, what the different, methodology is of devotional service in all those different places. He's uneducated. So Krishna gives him extra special mercy and blesses him that he can stay in the same body as a cowherd boy while he's traveling to all these different places and be educated. So he also goes to many places. He goes to Jagannath Puri. He becomes the king of Jagannath Puri by some fluke. The king dies, and the brother of the king, who was supposed to inherit the throne, wasn't into it. So the priests, they went to Jagannath and begged him for an answer, and one of the priests got a message in a dream. These things are going on in the spiritual atmosphere. And they said, oh, this cowherd boy just came, and he's the most qualified. He's more qualified than all of you. Make him the king. So he becomes the king. He's only 10 years old, and he becomes the king of Jagannath Puri. And in that situation, he becomes a little desirous watching the intimate servants of Jagannath. They get to go into the altar, and they get to, bathe the Lord and dress the Lord and make offerings and all these things. So he begins to desire these kinds of services. But he's constrained by being the king. And wherever he goes, there's a whole entourage around, and he gets a little, dissatisfied. So it's like this. Each place he goes, it's not that he's dissatisfied exactly, but he's dissatisfied in the sense that he wants a little bit more, and he can't get it there. The first time he sees Lord Jagannath, he sees Madan Gopal and he becomes completely ecstatic. He becomes completely, more than content, he becomes ecstatic, and he decides, I'm just going to stay here. But then because of these circumstances that unfold, right, he becomes distracted from that desire to be able to be more intimate with the Lord, and he decides better to go back to Vrindavan. And finally he gets this message directly from Jagannath, and he goes back to Vrindavan. Anyway, there's a story that goes on. And from there he goes to higher planets. He meets Indra. He becomes Lord Brahma. Same thing. Lord Brahma has something happen to him, and he has to run away, right? So he becomes Lord Brahma for some time. And he, sends pure devotees everywhere to fill up the universe with devotional service. But in each one of these cases, he doesn't become completely satisfied, but he becomes a little more satisfied and educated as he's moving along. And finally, he comes to Vaikuntha. And there he actually meets Lord Vishnu face to face. He has seen deities. He has been to the higher planets where they can meditate on the Lord in such profound ways that the Tapaloka, in Tapaloka for instance, the Tapasvis in Tapaloka, the four Kumaras and other great yogis are so elevated in their meditation that they can change their own forms into the forms of the Lord they're worshiping. And not only that, these yogis blessed him that they could see the form, that he could see the form of the Lord he was worshiping everywhere he looked. Imagine how nice that would be. But still, what happened was, they would get together and meditate, and then they would all go into their caves or into their kuntir or whatever, wherever they went, and he found himself alone again without the Lord. He wasn't able to associate with the Lord and serve the Lord and be with the Lord like he wanted to all the time. So again, he got a little dissatisfied and he went on. So finally he comes to Vaikuntha. And this is when Vaikuntanath reveals to him that he actually became his spiritual master directly. The spiritual master is the representative of Krishna. He's called the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. He's worshipped and given the same respect due to Krishna, but he's not Krishna directly. And anybody who thinks that he is and is in that position is immediately fallen. Immediately fallen. So I'm going to read this section to you because I want to highlight a point. We hear so much about how the devotees feel about Krishna, but we don't hear that much about how Krishna feels about the devotees, really. We do in very esoteric scriptures written by the Goswamis, but in general, in our scriptures, there isn't that much talk about this. But I think, my opinion is that it's an extremely important subject matter for us to hear. Because we sometimes, due to the complexities of the material world, which all of us have to experience, we forget just how much Krishna loves us. It's hard to see it sometimes because the material world is such a complex place, and it's a place of suffering for all of us, for everyone in the material world. So to see Lord Krishna's mercy in everything and how he's how much he loves us is not so easy. So this is a very deep revelation, and I'm going to read some verses and some commentaries. Please don't mind. This is a deep subject, but I think everyone will appreciate. Okay? I'm reading from the second part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the 4th chapter, entitled Vaikuntha, the Spiritual Kingdom. And Gopal Kumar has been brought into the company of Lord Vishnu by the Vaikuntha Dutas. They have escorted him through the gates of Vaikuntha, and he has seen immeasurable wonders, opulences that the residents of Vaikuntha have. And he's a little overwhelmed. And because of his nature, because of his mood, because of the quality of love for Krishna that he has, it's completely spontaneous. But in Vaikuntha, there's lots of awe and reverence for the Lord. And therefore, there's certain things that you say and certain things that you don't say. There's certain prayers that you offer and certain prayers that you don't offer. And even within Vaikuntha, there's different moods. It's not all one. There's varieties, unlimited varieties in Vaikuntha. So we're picking up the story where Gopal Kumar is coming in front of the Lord, into the presence of the Lord, escorted by these Vaikuntha Dutas. First of all, he mentions that what he's seeing Narada Muni there, and he was dancing in ecstasy. He's seeing, Garuda and Shesha and Vishwakshena and other leaders of different groups of devotees surrounding the Lord. He's seeing Lakshmi and all of the goddesses of fortune surrounding the Lord. It's quite an intense scene. So I'm going to read just the English, don't mind. I love the Sanskrit. It's so purifying and sweet to hear. But I'm just going to save some time. Don't mind. And I'm going to read just the English. And I'll select commentaries that are particularly important, I think, for us to hear. Can everyone hear clearly? Is it okay so far? I'm just keeping us on the same page and making sure we don't get mesmerized, go in some trance or something. Can't hear. This is really nice. Please touch Srinu. Please hear. Sri Narada's dancing and his expert singing and veena playing created such clever entertainment that the Lord and his two consorts, Rama and Dharani, sometimes laughed out loud. This is a big deal because in Vaikuntha, generally the ladies don't laugh out loud. To add to the special ecstasy of his devotees, whose hearts were fixed only on him, from time to time the Lord extended both his lotus feet as a way of offering himself. In this way he exhibited his splendor. The fullness of the ecstasy of this sight brought on made me forget what the attendants of the Lord had instructed me. Now, what this means is that they had instructed Gopal Kumar what to say, what to do, where to stand, where not to stand, how to, like that. I cried out again and again, "Oh Gopal, my life and soul!" And I ran to embrace the Lord. He's a 10-year-old cowherd boy. Commentary. Having chanted the 10-syllable mantra of Lord Gopal for so long, Gopal Kumar was used to worshipping the Lord with natural spontaneity. And now he impulsively expressed his love in a way unusual for Vaikuntha. Forgetful of all ideas of awe and reverence, he ran forward with open arms to embrace his Lord. The other day I came over here for lunch, and I sat there, and the two boys just came running over to me. Oh, Maharaj! Running over here. Gave me a big hug. And when I go over to Tikshu's house, the same thing happens with the kids there, especially the little ones. This is very pleasing. Huh? It's very pleasing. When a kid just comes to you and just opens their arms and just wants to give you a hug, just spontaneous, nothing's more pleasing, right? Isn't it? Because there's nothing, there's nothing behind it. It's just pure expression of affection. And it's very pleasing to the heart, because that's what we all want underneath it all. Especially those of us who have taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Do we have a Chaitanya Charitamrita here? Get me the Madhya Lila, Volume 10. Madhya Lila, Volume 10. I want to read a little. We're going to take a side trip here. Little side trip. And we're going to hear, the role that affection plays in devotional service. Excuse me? I'm not talking about volume, I'm talking about chapter. No, we're way far. This is 24, 23. I need chapter 10. If this goes on too long, please tell me, because I can get very carried away and go on for a long time, especially because I haven't done this in a long time. No, I'm going to keep this. Thank you. Okay. Does that mean they're coming to get us? What does that mean? They're coming to get us or something? I'm reading a prayer that Sarup Damodar offered to Lord Chaitanya when he first became united with Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, there was a brahmachari named Purushottam in Navadvip. And he was later to become Sarup Damodar and the very intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. And when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, this Purushottam was completely renounced and completely in love with Lord Chaitanya, head over heels. So when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he went mad in separation from Lord Chaitanya. He went to Varanasi and he took initiation from a Mayavad sannyasi who gave him the name Sarup. There's different names of brahmacharis that take initiation from particular names of sannyasis in the Shankar Sampradaya. Saraswati, Tirtha, Ashram, Bharati, like that. And, the name of the brahmachari that he got from the sannyasi, he took the name Sarup. So then, he found out that Lord Chaitanya came back from South India and had set up his headquarters in Jagannath Puri. And as soon as he heard that, he took permission from his spiritual master and just made a beeline for Jagannath Puri. So, here's the verse when he first came into Lord Chaitanya's presence again, after all that separation. I'm going to read that verse, and I'm going to read one other verse which describes the role that affection plays in devotional service. If I can find it. Yeah. Okay. Got it. He lon du nitake daya bishadaya pranmilat amodaya samyach chastra vibhadaya rasadaya chitrarpiton madaya shashat bhakti vinodaya samadaya madhurya madhyadapi Sri Chaitanya Daya Nideta Vadaya Bhuyat Amandodaya. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation. By your mercy, everything is made pure and blissful. It awakens transcendental bliss and covers all gross material pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy causes the heart to jubilate by pouring forth transcendental mellows. Your mercy always stimulates devotional service, which is full of joy. You are always glorifying the conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. That's Swarup Damodar to Lord Chaitanya. Let me read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. With your permission, granted. Thank you. This important verse, quoted from Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya 8:10, specifically describes the Lord's causeless mercy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most magnanimous personality of Godhead, distributes his causeless mercy in three ways to the conditioned soul. Every living entity is morose in the material world because he is always in want. He undergoes a great struggle for existence and tries to minimize his miserable condition by squeezing the utmost pleasure out of this world. However, the living entity is never successful in this endeavor. While in a miserable condition, a person sometimes seeks the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this is very difficult for materialistic people to obtain. However, when one becomes Krishna conscious, by the grace of the Lord, the flavor of the lotus feet of the Lord expands. And in this way, a materialist may gain freedom from his miseries. Actually, his mind is cleansed by his transcendental connection with the lotus feet of the Lord. At such a time, one is enlightened by the loving service of the Lord. There are many different kinds of scripture, and by reading them, one often becomes puzzled. However, when one receives the mercy of the Lord, his confusion is mitigated. Not only are scriptural disparities resolved, but a kind of transcendental bliss is awakened, and in this way one is fully satisfied. The transcendental loving service of the Lord constantly engages the conditioned soul in serving the Lord's lotus feet. Through such fortunate engagement, one's transcendental love for Krishna is increased. One's position is thus purified, and one is filled with transcendental bliss accompanied by the spirit soul's jubilation. Thus, the transcendental, causeless mercy of Lord Krishna is manifest in the heart of the devotee. At such a time, material needs no longer exist. The lamentation that invariably accompanies material desires also vanishes. By the grace of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position, And then the transcendental mellows of the spiritual world are manifest in them. One's devotional service then becomes firm, and one engages in the Lord's transcendental loving service with great determination. All these combined to fully awaken the Lord's heart, the devotee's heart, with love of Krishna. In the beginning, a conditioned soul is bereft of Krishna consciousness and is always morose in its material activities. Later, by associating with the pure devotee, one becomes inquisitive to know the absolute truth. In this way, one begins to engage in the transcendental service of the Lord. It is by the Lord's grace that all misconceptions are vanquished and the heart cleansed of all material dirt. It is only then that the pleasure of transcendental bliss is awakened. By the Lord's mercy, one is finally convinced of the value of developing devotional service. When one can see the pastimes of the Lord everywhere, he is firmly situated in transcendental bliss. Such a devotee is relieved of all kinds of material desires, and he preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world. Krishna consciousness activities separate one from material activities and the desire for liberation. At every step, the devotee feels himself connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although such a devotee may sometimes be involved in household life, I'm saying that a little loudly because most of us in this room are householders. I'll repeat it. Although such a devotee may sometimes be involved in household life, he is untouched by material existence due to his constant engagement in devotional service. Thus, everyone is advised to take shelter of devotional service to become happy and liberated. So then there's this wonderful exchange between Swarup Damodar and Lord Chaitanya, where they are reunited. And you know, Swarup Damodar is sometimes, by some authorities, Lalita, and sometimes by some Vishaka, but either way, most intimate associate. And Lord Chaitanya, when he went to Jagannath Puri, he fully manifested his mood as Srimati Radharani. And those two became, Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar and Lord Chaitanya became very close. So after this scene, guess who shows up? Govinda. Now Govinda was a disciple of Ishwara Puri. Means he's a godbrother of Lord Chaitanya. Not only that, but he was one of the intimate servants of Ishwara Puri. So Ishwara Puri, before he leaves, he gives Govinda an instruction. You go to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and you serve him like you served me as a menial servant. Now, this is very difficult for Lord Chaitanya to accept, because you don't take service from a godbrother. Not only that, but Govinda came from a Shudra family, a lower birth. And when Govinda came and Lord Chaitanya introduced him to Sarvabhouma Bhattacharya, who was sitting at the time with Lord Chaitanya when he arrived. Sarvabhouma Bhattacharya, who had become a pure devotee by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he had become a pure devotee. But before that, he was a very, very elevated Smarta Brahmin who was so advanced in the rules and regulations of Shastra and so fixed in the conclusions of the Vedanta Sutra according to Shankaracharya that he had 60,000 sannyasi disciples. And he was a householder. So how elevated was he? Incredibly. So when he saw Govinda, he asked Lord Chaitanya this question. how is it that Ishwara Puri accepted Govinda as a servant? Sorry, I lost my place. Sorry. This was Lord Chaitanya's reply. Are you still with me? The question is, how is it that Ishwara Puri accepted Govinda as a personal servant, a sannyasi accepting a Shudra as a personal servant? This is Lord Chaitanya's reply. We still here, everyone? Not wondering? Minds? Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, listen up, kids. Listen up. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking. Wow. Haribol. Do you want to take a seat? Oh, this is good. This is good. My God brothers just walked in a time when I'm talking about this subject. It's very sweet. The subject is Govinda has just arrived, and Sarvabhouma Bhattacharya has inquired from Lord Chaitanya, how is it that Ishwara Puri accepted Govinda as a servant, direct servant, him being from a lower birth, Shudra? I'm discussing the topic of affection and how the role it plays in devotional service. And I'm getting to a place in the pastimes of Gopal Kumar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the Lord's reply to Sarvabhouma Bhattacharya. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master, Ishwara Puri, are completely independent. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Ishwara Puri is not subjected to any Vedic rules or regulations. The mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not restricted to the jurisdiction of caste and creed. Vidura was a Shudra, yet Krishna accepted lunch at his home. Lord Krishna's mercy is dependent only on affection. Being obliged only by affection, Lord Krishna acts very independently. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is merciful, but His mercy does not depend on mundane rules and regulations. He is dependent only on affection and nothing else. Service to Lord Krishna can be rendered in two ways. One can serve the Lord in affection or in veneration. When service is rendered in affection, it is the Lord's special mercy. When service is rendered in veneration, it is doubtful whether Krishna's mercy is actually involved. If Krishna's mercy is there, it is not dependent on any prescribed caste or creed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to inform Sarvabhouma Bhattacharya that Lord Krishna is the spiritual master of everyone, and He does not care for mundane caste and creed. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cited the example of Lord Krishna's accepting food at the house of Vidura, who was a Shudra by birth. By the same token, Ishwara Puri, an empowered spiritual master, could show mercy to anyone. As such, he accepted Govinda, although the boy was born in a Shudra family. When Govinda was initiated, he became a Brahmana and was accepted as Ishwara Puri's personal servant. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sri Sanatana Goswami, the author of the book we're reading, states that if one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, he immediately becomes a brahmana. A pseudo spiritual master cannot transform a person into a brahmana, but an authorized spiritual master can do so. This is the verdict of Shastra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all of the Goswamis. In conclusion, dealings in affection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead bring happiness many millions of times greater than dealings with Him in awe and veneration. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, the devotee is merged in transcendental bliss. So, now back to the story of Gopakumar. 10-year-old cowherd boy finally made it to Vaikuntha. The Vaikuntha duties have instructed him, don't do this, don't do that, stand over here, don't stand over there. Say this, say that, like that. Explaining to him the rules and regulations of Vaikuntha. But when he saw the ecstatic atmosphere around Vishnu, who did he see? He saw Madan Gopal. Therefore he cried out again and again, "O Gopal, my life and soul," and ran forward to embrace the Lord. Some discerning attendants who were standing at the Lord's side held me back. And I was heartbroken. I cried out in helpless distress again and again, overcome by my own excessive love, and fell unconscious in front of the Lord. With some effort, those attendants lifted me up, and after some time I regained consciousness. I wiped away with my hand the flood of tears that blocked my sight, and with difficulty I finally opened my eyes. Then I heard the Lord, that best of merciful persons, tell me in a deep, gentle voice, "Please come back to your senses, my dear boy. Come here, quickly." Commentary. From the moment Gopakumar fell unconscious, Lord Narayan had been calling to him. But Gopakumar was able to hear him only after regaining consciousness. Got it? You can't hear the name until you regain your consciousness. You can't chant mechanically. You can only chant in Krishna consciousness and only hear the Lord in Krishna consciousness. That's why the kirtan is so important, because the kirtan is so powerful. It smashes or interrupts that flow of materialism that's always running through our minds and wakes us up, gives us an opportunity to taste the name. The Lord also told him, "Please give up this reverence for me. Let's talk together as friends." So you can imagine what the Vaikuntha Dutas are thinking right now. They're freaking out, At least some of them are. I then felt the highest limit of joy. I danced all around as if seized by madness and stumbled about, but with great endeavor the Lord's servants calmed me down, and at last I awakened from that trance. The Supreme Lord said, "Welcome, welcome, my dear boy. I am fortunate, most fortunate, to meet you here. For so long I have been eager to see you." Now we're going to hear how Krishna feels towards his devotees, which was the theme of this talk. This is Lord Vishnu. It's actually Krishna. It's Madan Gopal actually talking to Gopakumar. Because you remember that story where, the gopis are, looking for Krishna in the middle of the rasa dance after Krishna had gone away and Krishna was hiding, right? Because he wanted to meet Radharani alone. So like the gopis came running along, so he turned himself into Narayan and sat there, 4 hands, beautiful, gorgeous, opulent. The gopis came, looked, oh, it's Vishnu, paid obeisances. Did you see which way Krishna went? Vishnu goes like this, and they go running off to find Krishna, right? But then when Srimati Radharani came in front of him, right? Then what? He's trying to hold that form. He couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Her love was too strong. Too strong. So therefore he gave up those extra arms and then they met. You see? So she's not the only one that can do that. Here they're in Vaikuntha, and Gopakumar is a cowherd boy in spontaneous love with Madan Gopal, and Lord Vishnu, he can't keep his form of Vishnu, and so Gopakumar sees Madan Gopal. Therefore he's acting like this. So now Lord Vishnu is going to express his feelings more intimately to Gopakumar. He says, "My dear friend, you have passed many lifetimes without paying any attention to me at all. How do you feel when your friend doesn't pay attention to you for a long time? For so long, hope had me dancing like a fool, thinking, perhaps in this lifetime, or this, or this, or this, he will finally turn his face toward me." This is what's going on the other side. Commentary. Even though Gopakumar had forgotten his Lord for many lifetimes, the Lord had never forgotten him. The Lord wanted Gopakumar to know this, and also to know how eager the Lord had always been to regain the association of his devotee. This is the real impetus for love for God. This is the real impetus. When you realize that the Lord is suffering without you. If you can get this, if you can get it, as they say in modern vernacular, he just didn't get it, He came in, he saw, he just didn't get it, Right? So this is what we have to get. We have to get it. The Lord wants us back more than we want to go back to him. Prabhupada said this many times. Not only that, the Lord's bringing us back and we're kicking and screaming the whole way. It's like trying to get, Chaitanya or Neela or, Nadia to do something they don't want to do. No. No, you got to come on. No. Right? Isn't it Chaitanya? Huh? So this is the way it is. You got to get this. You got to get this point to get serious about devotional service. So now he's continuing. This is not all. But I could find no pretext on which to bring you to my abode, dear brother, and still follow the timeless laws that I myself have created. Now here, this is a very deep point. This is a very deep point being given by Vishnu himself. How it is that the material world is like it is. Listen to this commentary. Ready? Ready? Since the Supreme Lord is all-powerful, why didn't he simply find a way to bring Gopakumar to him sooner? How many times have you asked this question? The Lord establishes the laws of the universe, which are enunciated in the Vedas and other scriptures, and he chooses to adhere to his own restrictions. He chooses. In Bhagavad Gita he says, Name partasti kartavyam, trishu lo kinchana, nanavaptam avaptavyam, varta evacha karmani. He said, I don't have any reason to be in this world. I don't have any desire for the fruits. I don't have to follow any rules and regulations. I'm free. But I follow them. Because if I don't, then others will follow me. Because that's the nature of this world. You follow the leader. And who's the deeper leader than Krishna? Nobody. So he says, therefore I choose to follow, so that people don't get the wrong idea. As long as living entities want to control and enjoy their own world, he does not interfere. So as long as we're into the material world, as long as we're into enjoying the material world, Krishna will not interfere. Otherwise, love could not exist. No one can force another person to love them. Love is voluntary and spontaneous. Only when they show by calling out his names that they want to return to him does he again reveal himself. What did Prabhupada say? You should chant Hare Krishna like a baby calling out for the mother in great distress. The mother knows. I've hung around a few households here. They know when the kid's putting it on, you know. I was in Japan, and we were doing a house program, and there was one lady who came with baby. And this baby was really not into being there at all. And he was screaming his head off. And the mother was trying to, and I was trying to be polite. And, I'd never been in Japan before. I didn't know all the rules and, the etiquettes and everything. I didn't know what to do, And, Satyadev, my godbrother, was there, and he knew what to do, and he wasn't saying anything. So I just sat there and tolerated. And he got louder and louder and louder. And the woman's like trying to get, and finally he won. He won. And the lady said, please forgive me, I want to be here, but I said, yes, I understand. Yeah, of course I'm saying, okay, Sannyasi, what happens when the baby cries? The sannyasi's heart goes, that's the reality. So anyway, she carries the child out the door, and on the way out the door, right, the mother's got the baby in the arms, right? The baby looks at me like this and goes. I said, you were putting it on, buddy. You were putting it on. But the mother knows, the mother knows when it's really a put on or not. In that particular social circumstance, there was nothing she could do. But the mother knows when the baby's really crying. So Krishna knows. Krishna knows. He's in the heart. And he knows when you're chanting to him. And when you're just kind of like getting your rounds done. In previous lives, Gopakumar had never chanted the names of Lord Narayan, even unintentionally or in jest. Had he at least vibrated a shadow of the Lord's name, he could have been delivered like Ajamil. In any case, now Gopakumar is finally returning home. The Lord continues. You showed me no mercy. And as I considered this, I grew impatient, full of anxiety to receive your favor. This is Vishnu talking to his devotee. This is Krishna talking to the devotee. So I transgressed my eternal code of conduct and arranged for you to take your current birth. Dear boy, in that divine district of Govardhan, my most beloved abode, I myself became your guru, known by the name Jayanta. So Krishna does sometimes break the rule. Not in general, but he sometimes does. But we shouldn't think that we can get him to break the rule. We have to follow. It's not that we're trying to say that you can come to this spontaneous platform and then neglect the rules. Sakta karmanya vidbangse yata kurvanti bharata koryad vidbangtata shaktis chakirshu lokasangraham. Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita, Sakta karmanya vidbangso. One who is attached acts in a certain way. Sakta karmanya yata kurvanti bharata. And those who are unattached, they act in the same way. Why? Chakirshu lokasangraham. For the benefit of others. So we follow, but we follow in a different mood, for a different reason. We have to be strict in the rules and regulations. Now we have our head pujaryas here. We need, please, obeisances. You know, I watched her the other day. Somebody had dressed, and excuse me, I didn't mean to embarrass you. I always do this, just tolerate, okay? Just tolerate. Just tolerate. And, she was, the Pujari was looking and she was going, now this, this, that. She's training, it's so sweet to watch. Very nice to watch. Training how to do it just so pleasing to Krishna. Today, this is Vishnu speaking. This is Krishna again speaking. Today you have at last fulfilled the desire I have harbored so long. Please nourish your happiness and mine by staying here forever. That's what Krishna wants. And that's the place, the role that affection plays in devotional service. So why didn't Gopal Kumar just stay there? Because it was Vaikuntha, and he was a cowherd boy. And although he was seeing Madan Gopal, it wasn't like all the time. Sometimes he would be, Vaikuntha-nath, and, Lakshmi would be there, and, the servants, and all the paraphernalia, and all the protocol, and all the opulence, and all the retinue, and everything. But then sometimes, when he became, overwhelmed again, and he would see Madan Gopal, and the goddess of fortune would turn into Radharani. And the attendants would turn into the cowherd boys. And he'd be able to play his flute and dance around with them. And play like they do in Goloka Vrindavan. But that was only sometimes. And so finally, he just couldn't tolerate it anymore. He wanted it all the time. So he got, his permission and moved on to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita ki Jai. Sri Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Go Premanandi Hare Bol. Sri Gopal Kumar ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, any questions, comments, discussions, points, anything? Chastisements, corrections?
Maharaj, it seems that one of the bigger lessons that I get from it is the lesson of free will, and how even within Krishna consciousness we can even choose the level of devotion we want to have. And when you were making the point of when the mother knows that the child is putting it on, I remember when I was just a Bhakta Burfi, I chanted in a way that I thought was pleasing not to Krishna but to others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I actually got chastised for it by men of more intelligence.
Yeah.
So my question is, when it seems that the spontaneity of love actually goes above free will because it's spontaneity, you know? It's like this dual thing I can't understand. Like, do I have the free will to love more? But how do I get to that?
It's just the opposite of what you're thinking. It's just the opposite of what you're thinking. The pure love of God, spontaneity facilitates the love of God. It's not that it interferes with it. It's just the opposite. And the reason is because we're mostly forgetful that it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. The Lord is reciprocating according to the degree of affection that we can muster at the time, that we can show. And this is what this pastime is showing, this Gopakumar pastime. Because, as he goes along, he sees different deities, he sees different incarnations, he sees different methods of worship, he meets all kinds of levels of devotees. But what he sees in those incarnations is his Madan Gopal, or he sees some similarity, but it's not the full thing. So it's not that he goes on to the next place out of disgust. Sometimes those who try to enter into spontaneous devotional service prematurely, wrongly, they will try to avoid certain forms of Lord, because they will distract them from their spontaneous mood, to Krishna, in Goloka Vrindavan. But that's wrong, actually. The devotee, the pure devotee, in spontaneous love from Goloka Vrindavan, sees Krishna everywhere. What to speak of in the deity. So when he's going along, he's seeing different features of Lord Jagannath, or different features of the deities that was worshipped, Mahapurusha, or, in Brahmaloka, or the Vaikuntha Dutas, or, like that. He's seeing his Madan Gopal gradually. And that love is gradually awakening. So the point that I'm making is that even you have spontaneous love, or even if you have love, there's grades of it. And as you go through the process, it's refined, awakened, more and more and more and more. And in those different stages, you may be attracted to one form or another. But that doesn't mean you don't go on. And when you reach your swabhav, when you reach your siddhadeha, when you reach your actual, original relationship with Krishna, then you become satisfied there. Anyway, I didn't have time to go into it, but there's a discussion of the Vaikuntha Dutas about Gopakumar. As Gopakumar's spontaneity becomes kind of unfolds and awakens, some of them are just really upset. You can't do that. You can't speak about, this Krishna, this is the real Lord. And, he sometimes forgets that and goes off and plays like a cowherd boy, but this is the real thing. Because that's the way they are. That's their relationship. That's how they feel. That's their swabhav. But then there are other Vaikuntha associates who say, no, it's okay. They're all incarnations of the same Supreme Lord. Therefore, whether he worships this way or that way, it's okay. They're neutral. And then there are those who are really in the know who say, no, Krishna, he's the source of our Lord. And so therefore he's doing exactly the right thing. But that doesn't mean that they want to go there, because they're satisfied in their own bhav, in their own relationship. Srila Prabhupada used to use the example of the plants, in the spiritual world. They're all conscious. They're all fully conscious. There's different flowering plants and trees and so many wonderful, beautiful, fully conscious plants that are all serving Radha and Krishna according to their desire. But they all worship Tulsi. They accept that she's in a superior position. And it doesn't bother them. Just like it didn't bother the queens to glorify the gopis. Because they get ecstasy. The competition or the differences, so-called hierarchy in the spiritual world, are not like here. Because the differences in moods, they don't cause the same kinds of inauspicious feelings that they do here. They just make everybody more and more pleased. And that's how you can tell the difference. So when we're in the material world, generally our activities are conducted by the modes of material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara kartaham iti manyate. This is his third chapter, 27th verse, I think, around 27. And there Krishna says that those who are bewildered by the modes of nature think that that they are doing their activities, which are actually being conducted by the modes of nature. You know what that means? That means predestiny, no free will. You're under the modes of nature. So then what's the next verse? The very next verse. We're talking about free will. Tattvavitu mahabaho guna karma vivagayo guna shivartanta itimatvana sajjate. So this tattvavit is very important. It means one who is actually a knower of the truth. And later on in the 4th chapter, he tells you how you do that. Apichet Surya, what is that verse? Tadvidi panipatina, pariprashnena sevya. How to do it. You approach a spiritual master with service, with submission, with affection. Jnaninas tattvadarshana, those who have seen the truth, who have assimilated. Then what happens? Tattvavitu mahabaho guna karma vivagayo. We see the difference between sense gratification and devotional service, and we choose devotional service consciously. So that's not exactly spontaneous, but it's the little beginning, awakening, budding of that spontaneity. And from there, it grows, unfolds. And this is what the pastime of Gopal Kumar is showing. How that relationship unfolds and gets more and more spontaneous until finally he achieves Goloka Vrindavan. So that spontaneity doesn't interfere with the love, or the love doesn't interfere with the spontaneity. It's just the opposite. They both facilitate one another. There's a mutual relationship that's so deep that nothing can interfere with it once it awakens. So it's up to us to choose. But what we think we're choosing ordinarily in material existence is whether I want to have a red car or a green car, or listen to this kind of music or that kind of music, or eat this kind of food or eat that kind of food. That's what we think are our choices. No, those are not our choices until we come to Krishna Prasadam, and then it's our choice. But what we have to choose, our choice is whether or not to perform devotional service or not. Do we want to stay here in this material world and rot and suffer like a wounded dog, or not? Do we want to go back to Krishna and live a life free, full freedom, to love Krishna and to hear Krishna, to be with Krishna and have Krishna love us back? Because he's the only one that can give that love back in a way that can satisfy us completely. And when we're in Goloka, we're with devotees who are on that platform. And therefore, the atmosphere that is created by those loving exchanges is it's inconceivable. It's actually inconceivable. Spontaneity, it's beyond spontaneity, actually. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, now to the best part of the program. We'll chant some more before we take prasadam.